Today, we're going to talk about a concept called choke oil. Is it a prelude to Armageddon? I'm Steve Elwart, and I'll be delivering this bullet briefing, and it will fall under the surveillance sector of economics. The struggle for resources have existed since the earliest times, and currently in our global economy, the resource that seems to matter most is our increasing need for oil. Those entities that control the flow of oil in the world will have a major say in global politics. Restricting oil supplies, the so-called choke oil scenario, could set the world up for a major conflict, possibly even being a precipitator for the Magog invasion. In the world today, we have countries that are major exporters of oil and countries that are major importers. On the exporter side, we have the countries of Saudi Arabia, Russia, Norway, Iran, the United Arab Emirates, Venezuela, Kuwait, and Nigeria. Of those countries listed, all of them, with the exception of Russia and Norway, are OPEC members, and Norway is the only country that can be called an ally of the United States. Of these same countries, 5 of them are Muslim countries and have already expressed their dislike for the great Satan, the United States, and the little Satan, Israel. Here you'll see a map of the major oil trade routes in the world. The thicker the line, the more oil that travels through that particular route. There are 6 chokehold areas in the world that I'd like to cover briefly in session today. The largest area of concern is the Strait of Hormuz. 17 million barrels per day go through the Strait of Hormuz, and that constitutes 27% of the world's oil exports. Oil that goes through these straits are destined for Japan, the United States, and Western Europe. The next area of concern is the Strait of Malacca. The Strait of Malacca has 15 million barrels a day of oil passing through it, constituting 24% of the world's oil exports. Next is the Suez Canal. Now we have a smaller amount of oil going through the Suez Canal, roughly 4.5 million barrels a day, constituting about 7% of the world's exports. Oil going through the Suez Canal is bound for Europe and the United States. Next is the Bab el-Mandab Strait that goes through Somalia and Ethiopia. This constitutes 3.3 million barrels a day, or 5% oil export. Oil coming through this area is bound for Europe states. Of smaller concern, but still an area of concern, are the Turkish Straits by the Caspian Sea. 2.4 million barrels of oil go through these straits, constituting about 4% of the world's exports. These straits are of particular concern because they are so narrow, and Russia is worried about terrorist activity blocking these straits. That's one of the reasons they want to build a pipeline from Russia to Europe. The other primary reason is they do not want the existing pipelines used that go through Ukraine. The last area I want to talk about is an area that gets a lot of play, but really doesn't mean a whole lot in terms of oil exports or world economy, and that's the Panama Canal. Panama Canal only carries about 500,000 barrels a day, or 1% of the world's oil. And oil that goes through the Panama Canal basically goes to the United States and Central America. However, oil supplies are so tight right now that any disruption in oil supplies could do significant harm to our oil infrastructure. Plus, it is a target of opportunity that looks very attractive to terrorists today. Ezekiel 38 says, "And it shall come to pass at the same time, when Gog shall come against the land of Israel, saith the Lord God, that my fury shall come up in my face. For in my jealousy and in the fire of my wrath I have spoken. Surely in that day there shall be a great shaking in the land of Israel." There is a scenario being talked about today in military corridors, a situation where the oil exporting countries exercise the chokehold option and start to shut down the oil flow through some straits. The only way they would open them back up again is for a country such as Russia to assist in an attack on Israel. Russia, running out of oil, may have no option except a military to invade Israel using the pretext that established a precedent in Iraq. We live in very exciting times today, and one of the things to watch as the end times unfold are the flow of resources and how they are being controlled. If you'd like further information on choke points, you can consult the Issachar database, or you can contact me, Steve Elwart, at Elwarts, that's ELWARTS, @bellsouth.net. God bless.